The past 5 days of my life has been the Kingdom Hearts recoded arc of my existence so far. The last time I stumbled across this many technical issues was when I was having sex for the first time. Recently, I got the bright idea to build the PC. As someone who has primarily always purchased pre-built rigs, I've owned 4 desktop rigs over the course of time, and all of them have been pre-built. Of course, I have sort of configured different bits and pieces, especially with my rig that I had before, the one I recently built. I changed out almost everything when it comes to the CPU, when it comes to the GPU, RAM. I did switch out the entire motherboard as well, though I actually paid someone to do that. And so I wanted to completely update like everything. Aside from some of the storage units along with the GPU, I ripped those out of my old rig and put them into this new one. I wanted to ensure literally everything was new, especially the processor. I wanted to start running a Ryzen 9 9950X, which is a little bit better for workloads. I thought, okay, it's time, especially looking at the case as well. I had this old, crappy, useless full tower rig unit. I wanted, you know, the cool glass with the fancy looking fans and the LEDs and stuff like that. So I wanted those bragging rights to say, hey, that thing right there, that box,
I built that.
I'd always heard that the PC building experience can be quite rewarding and satisfying, and I thought to myself, alright, well, really, how hard can this be? So I get up with 72 different Reddit posts, PC article write-ups, and YouTube video guides on how to build a PC step by step. I also ensured to have my tech friend James on standby for if I had any questions as I was making my way through the process. I was set to go. Now, the entire PC building process took me about 12 hours total, from ripping different components out of my old rig to prepping everything with the new rig and going from beginning to finish. It was about 12 hours. I probably didn't achieve some sort of speedrun world record when it comes to first-time PC builders. I was stressing out the entire time, basically thinking like, alright, is all of this mounted correctly? Is this seated properly? Is something going to catch fire? What if I've done it wrong, especially when it came to applying the thermal paste to the top of the CPU? Thinking, is that enough thermal paste? Like they say, a pea-sized drop of the thermal paste, but what if that's not quite a pea-sized drop of the thermal paste? What if it blows up? You start overthinking and running through every last issue that could potentially happen, especially because you've never done this before. And what's worse is when it's a situation where you've spent so much money on all of these components, and the fact that the slightest thing going wrong could absolutely ruin the component that is worth a couple $1,000s. It's stressful! However, I have to say, I actually managed to put everything together pretty well, and ended up with quite a nice looking rig. The biggest complaint I have towards the PC building process, or at least how I approached the PC building process, was how sore my fucking body was. Oh my god, it was like I had just performed Olympic-level gymnastics or something. So I was building the PC on the ground, like on the carpet. I did ensure to have a slab of wood that all of the components and the PC case and chassis was sitting on as I was building the computer, but I was physically sitting on the ground, configuring and putting everything together. This meant that my knees were crossed like the entire time. I was getting up from the floor, and as a 62-year-old, I have to say, getting up and down from the floor is a really hard process. My knees were I think the optimal way of building a PC is actually having a workstation and doing it standing so that your body is completely stretched out and not all twisted in 32 different angles. So because of my position when building this, it was just a constant reminder that my bones are not what they once used to be. However, the main issues of this didn't arise until once the PC was assembled and I could turn this bad boy on. So as I mentioned, I ensured to take all of the storage units and SSDs from my old rig and put them into this new one, including the boot drive with the Windows operating system on it. So I didn't do a fresh boot of Windows or anything. This meant that obviously I had to install all new drivers for all of the new components and the new motherboard that I had in the PC. You also have to go through the entire BIOS updating process, which the annoying thing with BIOS updating is you have to do each update gradually. You can't just update to the most up-to-date one. You got to do it step by step. And because there was like 8 different BIOS updates for the motherboard I had purchased, this in itself took about 2.5 hours. Gone from yippee woohoo, woo, baby, to I want to kill myself BIOS update! However, I managed to get onto the desktop and all was good. It seemed like things were working according to plan. I checked the temps. Okay, wow, I did it! And although the process was long and strenuous, taking like a full day basically, it was kind of worth it. I felt actually sort of satisfied and quite proud of myself. Until the day after. I had realized that, wow, the internet here is, like, really slow. What is going on? So I did a speed test and realized, interesting, my download speed is 9 megabytes a second. What in 2011 internet plans is going on here? So I have fiber internet, I think most people do at this point. However, it is like the lowest speed you can get. I'm running a Cat5 cable into the router that provides me with 100 megabytes down, which I think is like the average speed, or at least here in my country. I know overseas, like, some people have like 3 gigabyte download speeds and whatnot, something insane. You can get those here, and I'm actually currently in the process of getting gigabit hyperfiber installed. Hopefully that should be coming in the next coming weeks. So this is the main problem. This is where everything just went to horse shit. A Cat5 Ethernet cable's max speed is 100 megabytes per second. I checked the link speed via Windows and it was reading 10 out of 10. For the next few days, this Ethernet speed screen right here within Windows has become the bane of my existence because I properly checked this quite literally over like 250 times. So to try and troubleshoot this, I plugged the Ethernet cable into the PlayStation to do a speed test there to see, alright, first off, is it got something to do with my router or my cable? Because that's a pretty easy fix. I just switch out the cable. No! In fact, my PlayStation 5 was reading about 94 megabytes down. So I can instantly rule out anything to do with my router, my ISP, or the cable itself. So I started to jump through various forums, trying to like specify the problem, which this in itself can be so difficult because like, you've got to specify exactly what components you're using. Is the Ethernet port a PCI adapter, or is it actually part of the physical motherboard itself? It might not have anything to do with the motherboard. It could be like a completely different issue. Suggestions were to start configuring different settings within Device Manager, basically going into the advanced properties of the Ethernet adapter and changing stuff like the speed and the duplex, ensuring that power saving mode or something is disabled. There were also suggestions of jumping through DNS and port and IP settings. My brothers and sisters in gaming, I probably jumped through about 138 different suggestions on configuring this, configuring that, opening up the command prompt and typing in some sort of matrix level hack input. I tried them literally all. I talked to my tech friend for 2 hours trying to diagnose the problem. He couldn't figure it out. I then jumped on to Twitter, and naturally as it goes, although I do appreciate all of the advice and support that people were chucking my way, obviously it was the stuff I was already coming across within the various Reddit posts that I had already previously researched. Speed and duplex settings, have you changed it from auto-negotiate to 100 megabytes down or 1 gig down? Yes! 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 Yes, I have! Nothing's working! I then got into the DMs with one of my viewers who works for an IT company, and again, trying to diagnose the issue. Running through literally everything. Nothing is working. I did manage to come across maybe 3 separate forums where I specified the exact motherboard, I specified the exact Ethernet adapter that is inside of the motherboard, which is an Intel i22 526V adapter or something like that. And the verdict of all three of those posts was that people just couldn't figure out the issue, what was going on. And the random thing about this is every so often, the 100 out of 100 would actually pop up on the link speed. There was like 5 separate occasions after doing something, I don't know. I know that at least one time that I unplugged the Ethernet cable and put it back in, it was randomly showing 100, up until I would do a restart of the computer. There was even a time there where I managed to get the 100 out of 100. I did 3 separate restarts to ensure, okay, I changed something. I think it was like a power saving setting for the adapter. And it seemed as if the problem was fixed. I then proceeded to post a Twitter update video saying, my God, I'd done it. I was about to go to bed because at this point it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I was literally spending entire days trying to figure out this one issue to do with the internet. I did one more restart before tucking myself in and oh my God, is that 10 out of 10? I probably uninstalled and reinstalled the Ethernet adapter driver about 25 times. More. Let's double that. And whether it be grabbing the drivers from the Asus website, my motherboard's website, or going over to the Intel website, which is the actual adapter, and grabbing the drivers from there, doing a clean sweep of all of the drivers, and then restarting over again, using old versions of multiple different drivers. At this point, I had changed 513 different settings, right? And there was a time where I went to do a restart to see if a change had made any difference with the internet speed, and for whatever reason, my PC went into the recovery mode loop where I couldn't even boot up the PC. I thought right then and there, oh my God, dude, this new PC I've just spent thousands of dollars on is fucking bricked. I then had to go through a separate detour looking into YouTube videos on like, alright, how do I get out of the recovery mode loop that I'm like currently stuck in? And again, it was a bunch of command prompt input hacks doing SFC dism clean. I don't even know what the half of this shit even means. Doing check disk drive repair / money sign gang.
What up?
I was Morpheusing. I was literally Morpheusing at that point, but the difference between me and Morpheus is that I wasn't successful! The problem with the recovery boot thing was, for whatever reason, I went into my BIOS menu and my computer was using the wrong storage unit, the wrong drive to boot Windows! As I already cleared that drive completely, because I did a drive clone to swap my C drive out with a new SSD and put Windows onto that one, but it was trying to boot the other randomly. I don't know why it decided, alright, let's go back to the old one. Anyway, so we get back to the desktop. Alright, we're back to square one. All is good. The computer isn't totally I tried probably another day's worth of things, just diagnosing and troubleshooting, and nothing was working. Another recommendation that was thrown to me was maybe it's Windows 11 issue with the recent update, 24H2, that recently came out. It could have something to do with that, conflicting with the Ethernet adapter drivers, something to do with my motherboard. Alright, so let's download the previous version ISO, which, keeping in mind, I was downloading this off 10 megabytes a second. Anything I was trying to download and reinstall took so long. That entire process was like 4 hours or something to just downgrade and roll back to the previous Windows 11 version. Got that all installed and oi! Nothing! The last thing I tried was a complete clean boot, reset to factory settings of Windows 11, which I was trying to avoid because this basically means that you lose everything that is installed. You can choose to keep your files, but you do lose like basically everything, the way your entire computer's set up. So I did that. And that process took ages as well. And what was the verdict of that? 10 out of 10! Through all of the issues, though, it basically brought me to a point of, yep, okay. Intel Ethernet adapters are a little bit moose shit. There is something clearly wrong with the motherboard, or at least looking at the Ethernet port. I mean, everything else on the computer is working absolutely fine, And, of course, from the 3 other separate Reddit posts that I had come across where people had been facing the same issue, they didn't find a fix, it's got something to do with that specific Intel Ethernet adapter. So what was the fix that I decided to shoot for? Well, that would be a gigabit Ethernet adapter. For 60 bucks, I whip it in. What do I see? 100 out of 100. This is why people just prefer to shoot for console gaming. Because the susceptibility of something going wrong for a PC is so high. You'll just be browsing Google Images one day, and for some reason, there goes your credit card information. Oh, this driver here is incompatible with the chassis glass, so it's not going to cooperate, ensuring that this driver, that driver, this driver, that driver's all up to date, otherwise something just straight up won't work. Whereas consoles, yeah, you get like a software update, like every once in a while, you install that, you're good to go. And yeah, sure, you're not going to get the same experience you would get on a high-end PC. If you're looking at, you know, getting true native 4K with high frame rates, yeah, that's what you're gonna get when you're PC gaming. I've stumbled across a lot of PC issues in my time through using PCs on a daily basis, through using multiple different rigs. Yeah, I've come across my fair share of issues, but this tops the cake because nothing was making sense. This is a 2.5 gigabyte port. Why am I getting 10 megabytes a second? Anyway, I just wanted to provide an update. The channel's been a little bit slow over the past few days, and this is the reason why. I have gone through so many hoops and hurdles trying to figure out this issue. The verdict is that component of the motherboard is just simply However, my speed is back through just using a USB adapter. Bless USB adapters. Part of the reason as to why I am trying to future-proof my PC, though, is, you know, to continue the content creation, but to also make streaming a little bit better as well, as I want to start streaming some PC stuff. I am wanting to really have streaming as quite a big focus for this year's worth of content creation. I do plan on coming back to Twitch in February, but also I do plan on streaming to both Twitch and YouTube. So I want to start doing the simulcasting. I've never done this before, so I want to give it a crack. The last thing I'm waiting for is the RTX 50 series to drop. I am going to be switching out my 4070 Ti, not for a 5090, but for a 5080. The other thing, too, is I've been using 100 megabytes down and like a 20 megabyte upload speed for way too long. That's just simply not good enough. So I am in the process of waiting to get my gigabit hyperfiber installed. Don't worry, I've also got a Cat 6 cable coming on the way, because I know a lot of people, if I didn't mention this, would be like, oh yeah, but your Cat 5 cable won't accept the speed. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Cat 6 cable is on the way. I cannot wait to get back to streaming. Like, literally everything I've been doing for the PC side of things has really just been for streaming. I'm trying to make a really good streaming device. Once these two other things arrive, then it should be a pretty beefy system for all things streaming. I can't wait to come back. As I've said, I think some of the best content that has come out of this channel has been through our live streams. I got a lot of stuff, especially in regards to Kingdom Hearts, a lot of challenges, alternate niche runs and stuff I have in the pipeline that I want to do, so I simply cannot wait. Thank you, though, for remaining patient. I just don't want people thinking that I'm going on another hiatus or anything like that. I've just been troubleshooting, stressing, shitting, and spewing over the past few days. It has been awful. To everyone that jumped onto Twitter and was giving me advice, thank you so much. And hey, still, if anyone has had this issue before with this specific motherboard and adapter and actually does have the fix, I don't think there's a fix. I just simply think there is something absolutely wrong with the adapter itself. But if you do have a potential fix, and trust me, I've been through everything, so it's got to be pretty niche and crazy, let me know in the comment section down below. There might just be one wizard out there that has been through this exact problem and managed to fix the issue. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Just a small update from me. Smack that like button as it helps me out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A big thank you to my wonderful, wonderful patrons. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk again real soon.